Yo, what's poppin'? All our peeps. It is I, your host with the most, Renaissance man who always thinks he can, champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, joined alongside the best of the West. You cannot forget about Sarah Marshall for a Valentine's Day Raw Rewind.
It's me.
Sarah's got her red on, and
Yes, I do.
my face is red with this lighting that I got going on. So we're all celebrating here. And Sarah, how we doing? What's popping?
It's going. You know, you said that I just missed a good deadly segment, so
Yeah, you got to
I'm a
go
little
back and
bummed
watch
about
that Pretty Deadly segment because
who are they feuding with? The Gallus?
Gallus. So they're going to be feuding
That's
for the tag titles. There you go. There you go.
I just like
No, it's fine because the titles don't make the tag team. Okay.
no, I know, but I'm just saying I don't love the fact that it's Gallus, you know?
Why? What
Jared, I was gonna shout you
Gallus?
out. He's saying, "Why am I serious today?" What do you mean?
Why
am I
so
serious?
serious?
And David says, "Yo, am I being serious? What does that mean?"
No, I think the farthest thing from it. No, Ilya Dragunov, before we get into the Raw Rewind, Ilya Dragunov came out, and I'm obsessed with that man. It's something like English wrestling, like that European style, where it just feels like it's more of a fight than a wrestling match. I love all those. So I'm a big fan of him, and he's feuding with Trick Williams, which could even lead to a feud with Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov, which oh boy,
Mellow is money.
All right.
Mellow
I think
is
someone else is
money.
money, but you know,
Mellow is money to me. So
he would be great. He would be great on the main roster.
Yeah.
What is JD McDonough wearing? All right, so before we get in, Jared, I think Sarah, what is your thoughts?
I don't have an opinion because I don't watch NXT enough to have an opinion, unfortunately.
You gotta start watching it.
Is he the guy that keeps wearing like sunglasses and like a leather jacket?
No, that's Dijak.
Okay, so he's the one who had the disgusting broken finger, right?
He's the one that fought. He was the NXT UK champion twice.
And I know, but isn't he the one that just had his finger like broken at Vengeance Day?
No.
Who
he
was
wasn't
that
at
then?
Vengeance Day.
Someone had their finger broken. Whatever, I don't care, okay? I have to watch it more. I basically am just obsessed with Pretty Deadly.
And you got to go watch it more for them. But you know what? We watch more of Raw, so now we have to talk more about it. Yes. And Sarah, you can just this is you kind of take over as a little host as the most here. I got my blanket scarf, I call it. It's my newest invention, where it's a blanket over your like a hood here, and it can act as a scarf. But watch, you can also. I'm not going to do this the whole show, but I just want to do a demonstration for the peeps out there.
Like as if we've never done this before. Okay.
But now it's a blanket.
Yep.
And then it's like, wait, no, I want to be fashionable because I have to be on a show. Boom. Scarf.
Jared wants to know what title you have before we get into
so this is the World Heavyweight that I got when I was 5, and I had to unify the championship of the Peeps and the Gillette Gazette Patriot Peeps, and I unified them, which I think I'm foreshadowing something in the real WWE, and I created this little bad boy. It's plastic, it's great, but we're hoping to get that real one when that Super Bowl future check comes in, because guess who kind of put some money on the Chiefs to win it all in September?
But you also have to say you put money on the Eagles because the Eagles are your second team. So David's
the Lions
team is
are my second team, to be honest with you.
That's right. But you like the Eagles too.
Go Birds. So Sarah,
anyway,
take it away.
Okay, let's get into Becky and Bayley. So we see Raw start. Was it with them starting? It was, right? Was it Becky?
Yeah.
Okay, so Adam Pearce
in the ring.
Yeah, and it was like kind of super random. I was just like, what is going on here? So then we have Becky come out, and Some people are saying they think that she might have to change her music soon because they're losing their rights to like CFO. I don't know. I'm like, that'll be really sad because
Ooh.
That's why allegedly a lot of their have already changed, like Johnny Gargano, Asuka, like that's why they've already changed their music, allegedly. So hopefully we
Allegedly.
don't have Becky's change because I feel like it's just her, you know what I mean? It was like it's been her since she was a no matter what she was doing as a character in WWE, so I feel like it kind of is one of those ones that's like it can't change now, but anyway, so she comes out and she just talks about how she wants to have a match to earn her way into the Elimination Chamber match. Bailey then comes out. They go back and forth, and they keep talking about how many times they've been champion. Bailey says, that she is a Grand Slam champion, which I think people forget because Bailey always, I feel like, is the forgotten one of the four horsewomen. And then Bianca comes out and says, it's kind of odd for you guys to be talking about the Raw Women's Championship and you don't have the Raw Women's Champion. And I love seeing Montez like thirst for her so much this morning. I don't know if you saw his tweet.
No, I was not on Twitter this morning at all.
Oh no, he like tweeted out a picture of her from last night and was saying like he's so lucky that and he gets to like
God is good
tonight or something. Like anyway.
That's incredible.
So then Pierce says, you know what? How about we have a triple threat match tonight? If Becky wins, she's in the Elimination Chamber match. If Bailey wins, she's in the Elimination Chamber match. But if Bianca wins, then neither are in. So obviously they're the main event. And it's a good match. It's a great match. Obviously, it's the three of them. Like, they're at the top of their games right now. And I like that they all had their own moments in the match. It wasn't like, a domination by one or two or whatever. It was like they all had their moment.
Yeah.
Damage Control does get involved, which then prompted the entire group of girls that are in the Elimination Chamber match to come out and try to stop them, which I thought was like an interesting touch. And Bianca wins with a KOD. I loved that ending with a KOD of Becky on top of Bailey, and then she pinned Bailey. So now we know that they won't be in the Elimination Chamber match, but it seems pretty clear they are not going to end this feud. So do you think this is setting up a match for Mania like we've talked about before?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense that these two would fight at Mania at this point just because of how their career trajectories have gone. And I would say that Becky is the one that was, not anymore, but overshadowed and was kind of left in the dust. And then, reinvented herself with the whole man thing and just that soared to new heights.
Yeah.
Now Bailey is.
And that's and I agree. I just meant like current times, she's the one that's kind of like forgotten. Yeah.
It's just crazy though. And because Bailey, I would say the best technically. I don't know. Because I think
so good.
She's so much. I think she's better than Charlotte.
Okay,
wrestling wise.
Okay.
I think Bailey is better than Charlotte. When it comes to the other stuff, Charlotte does have the edge. But Bailey is so good at the element of wrestling that you get it or you don't when it comes to the character element. She's so good at her character and the fact that she went from being, the inflatable Teletubbies to, ding dong hello and ripping children's signs in front of their face. I mean, that's just incredible. And this match, I think, would steal the show at Mania, but it needs to be a specialty match.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about. I think it was just last week. We said if this feud were to continue, which at that point it was kind of like, okay, well, it's still, a month and a half, 2 months away. So will they really continue it? But I think they will because they were trying to get them involved in the Elimination Chamber match. And obviously that didn't happen. So it's like, okay, well, their little fighting, whatever is going on, their little situation is not over because then they both lost. So I think it would be cool to be exactly like what we talked about last week. It's like an I Quit or Falls Count Anywhere. I know we mentioned Iron Man, but we said no because Bailey already did that. So it kind of like you don't want that to overshadow that because that is a really good match. But I think
What
that
the
would make
time
it a
either,
little bit
yeah.
more interesting because we already know we're going to see Charlotte and Rhea. We're probably going to see the women's tag titles. So I feel like it would be cool to have a stipulation, which they haven't done that with the women at Mania yet. And I
No.
think that would be cool. I don't know what, but and to your point too about Bayley, it's crazy how well her turn worked because for a while they were kind of treating her like the female John Cena, where they were like they can't ever turn her because she's so over with the kids. It
Yeah.
could be a disaster, and they did it, and it was kind of a weird time because I think wasn't like some of the beginning of it was kind of during the Thunderdome era, so it was kind of like an iffy timing situation. But I think it's worked really well, and you can tell how much control she has over her character too, because someone is not writing for her to say ding dong, like there's no one
No,
in the
yeah,
creative room telling her to say
yeah,
that.
yes. Yeah.
But
I
I
would
do think that would be a cool thing because I think that would be a benefit for Bayley, especially since we're talking about her in this way that she's kind of been overshadowed by the other women. And if we're talking about Mania, definitely with Mania. I mean, Becky and Bianca killed it. We know Charlotte's killed it. They had that triple threat however many years ago that main evented. So I feel like this would be a really cool moment for Bayley to have with the stipulation too.
agree.
Let's move on to Mr. Baron Corbin.
I bring the darkness. I bring the
So many people I was seeing commenting on Twitter about him, and they were like, "Please bring back the lone wolf. Please bring." I'm like, "Where have you guys been though? Like, stop pretending like you are this big Baron Corbin fan. Like, stop, because it's not true. Does he have fans? Of course he does. But it's like, you guys were not around being like, oh my god, I love the lone wolf. Like, he didn't even do anything as the lone wolf really on the main roster.
Yeah,
So
I don't like people to call him lone wolf. Let's go with Baron Corbin with his OG theme song. Let's just keep it that simple.
But
That's when Baron Corbin was the ass kicker. His NXT matches are incredible. I'll give him that. And since he has made up, like, let's see some more of that. Let's see him get into like the Intercontinental picture.
Intercontinental's on SmackDown, so it'd have to be US title.
I said what I said.
Okay. But would that old character work when he's bald?
Yeah, okay.
Instead of a receding hairline, wet, slick back.
Bald, hairy, fuzzy, peachy, patchy.
I think, ew, stop. That's nasty. Okay, so we had kind of talked about Baron a little bit last week, obviously, because JBL broke up with him, and we were kind of speculating about what that might mean. And I think we actually said maybe he would feud with JBL, or JBL would take another guy under his wing, like Madcap Moss or something, and then that would kind of fuel a feud there. But from what we understand, JBL is not booked for any shows from here on out. So it appears that is completely done. So, listening to, I think I read something from like Meltzer, and I'm not saying what he says is like the Bible, so it's not like what he says is what's happening, but he was alluding to that they're kind of in a weird spot right now with Baron, and they kind of don't know what to do because they've done so many different things with him and it just doesn't work. So we saw him last night, and I know whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, no one cares. So I thought it was hilarious that they did that to him last night, though. Like, I know they were trying to sell it like, oh, Sammy just showed up and like got in the ring, but I loved how they were like, I'm here with Baron Corbin, and they were like, oh, wait, like something more important's happening. Like, that was just like so funny. So he did finally get interviewed, and then it was just so obvious what they were trying to do with him, just trying to get him the cheap heat by going after Cody, who's the top good guy on the roster right now. I mean, he was even going to say something about Cody's dog, and it's just like, okay, like,
he's firing Hail Marys out there.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I get it. They're like, it's desperate, but then he basically went out there and got squashed by Cody. So I'm like, okay, is this like, what are we doing here? Like, what is this actually doing for his career? and I'm just not sure where they go from here. Like, what do they do?
You got to trade into SmackDown. This is why I've been just asking for a draft. I want a WWE draft again. Do it after Mania. Split up the titles. It's a perfect opportunity, especially with this Sammy Cody shit, which we'll talk about. I just like, are we like, come
What
on.
about
Like,
another run in NXT?
a what?
Another run in NXT.
For Corbin?
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad about it because, you know, they did it with Finn. They just did it with the New Day, which the New Day didn't do. But they've been bringing around like other guys, but like it wouldn't.
Jinder's
Yeah,
challenging for the title next week.
so that's what I'm saying. It's like it wouldn't. I'm not saying that he should go down to NXT and necessarily like be NXT
Oh,
champion, but it might be beneficial to him because that's where he started. And even though he wasn't, I don't know, like the star of his era, I mean, it was kind of difficult to be a star of that era, for being honest. It might help him because I don't know that just switching brands is going to be good enough. You know, if people don't care, they're not going to care.
So, what NXT does that I think is really smart, I just kind of have been analyzing it tonight, is that the the vignettes is a better word for it. The vignettes that they do. For instance, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we've already talked about the Pretty Deadly one. Apollo Crews had one where he's standing under a light post writing into his journal. There's more time for character development. And those
Yeah.
vignettes are how you are going to be able to do that. Baron Corbin needs a role where he can really showcase his character either in a vignette or an in ring segment, like a Miz TV or um, whatever live. I don't know. Talk is Jericho. It
Yeah.
just you need to do stuff like that
The
because he's
highlight
so
reel.
good in the ring. Highlight reel. That was awesome. Talk is Jericho's podcast. Uh, you need to do stuff like that because once he does stuff like that, then you can have him actually go into a match and really showcase his character with his moves because he's good in that regard. I don't really like him right now as a character, but if you put him in the ring with anyone, he's gonna he's gonna do well. I mean, look at his what was it like a baseball season's worth of matches against Dolph Ziggler that for like 2016, I think it was.
Mm.
And Dolph Ziggler's a good worker. So if he
Yeah.
can hang with Dolph Ziggler, he can pretty much hang with anyone.
I just wonder how many more chances they're going to give him. I mean, I'm assuming that Triple H is going to be a little bit more lenient than Vince would, but Vince kept him around for a while too. So I would assume that means he's pretty well liked by creative or something because I mean, I don't think that he's been an untouchable guy when it came to all of these releases and stuff that he's been around for. I wouldn't have been at all shocked if he had been one of the names listed, but he hasn't been up until this point. So I don't know, but hopefully for anybody out there who is a Baron Corbin fan, they can figure it out soon because otherwise he's just kind of like floating around at this point.
Uh,
Um,
I will say Jarrett's is that End of Days is profound. I don't really remember it, but End of Days might be one of my favorite wrestling moves too.
yeah,
So
no, I remember
I
you
have to
saying
put
that.
that there.
Um, anyway, let's talk about like the main thing that we want to talk about because this is just kind of what it is every single week, I think. I was going to kind of break down everything that they talked about, but I feel like I just, it was just so good that I don't think that listing everything basically that they talked about is good enough. You need to just go watch the segment if you haven't yet.
Yeah.
But in case you did miss any of it, Sammy showed up in the ring and called out Cody, which I thought was really interesting
Weird
because
at first, yeah.
yeah, because I was like, what's going on here, Um and I thought it was I also thought it was funny that they let Cody like do his entire entrance though, because usually when some guy like calls you out, they just come out and like walk to the ring.
There's
But they
like
were like, all right, let's have Cody do everything. Like, let's get him that pyro. Let's let him do everything. I just,
pyro and everything.
yeah, I mean, and then it's like hazy in the arena, and it's all like for the ridiculous amount of pyro. But I thought that was interesting. Like even as I was watching it, I kind of laughed. But maybe it's because he didn't have a proper entrance. because he didn't have like a super real
Gotta give
match. I don't know.
him.
But anyway, so I also want to say before we even get into anything, have you noticed since he's returned at the Royal Rumble, every promo that Cody has started, he says, "So what do you want to talk about?" Have you
Yeah,
noticed that every single one he's said that?
yeah,
Is that on purpose?
yes.
And why?
AEW.
Because they hated it or what? Like why?
He did that. That was his thing when he was in
Okay.
AEW. With the
Well,
Indies.
because then when I saw people talking about it on Twitter, but they were making fun of him. So that's why I was like, I don't know. And I didn't watch a lot of, I mean, any AEW, obviously, when he was there. So like, I can't tell you. That's why I was like, I don't know what this is. But I just thought it was funny because he did it again. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, okay, because he said something before that he said like, welcome to Raw, Sammy, or whatever. And like, so what do you want to talk about? And I was just like, why are you saying this again?
It's great. It's one of those things that you want to have some sort of catchphrase align with your character, and it's an easy way to just open the conversation and break that little awkwardness of, all right, I'm standing in a ring and I'm
Yeah.
going to talk to you. It's just like an easy little intro for himself. I love how he does it. Oh, yeah, I
What?
love how I just I got the Celtics on and Sam Hauser just tied the game up.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Is it not insane that
I,
the Bucks are struggling against Hospital Celtics? Like I can't.
it's
But
incredible.
anyway,
Yeah, sorry.
um,
I was really in mid thought. I really thought I was just gonna miss it. That's why I kept talking.
oh, it's okay. So Sammy said, "I heard you say last week when you were talking to Paul Heyman that you could be facing me at Mania," and he said he wanted to know if that was the truth or if it was just lip service. Cody said, "No, it's I have no reason to lie." Um, and it's exactly what he thinks, and they just go back and forth, and it was almost like motivational for everybody, like not even just for Sammy. I felt, Cody is basically saying that you need to believe in yourself. You are in the best position of anybody to beat Roman because you were in the bloodline for 9 months. You know how he works. You know what he's capable of. You understand their inner workings, not even with just Roman, the whole dynamic. And I thought that it was obviously I said it was exactly what this feud needed. I like the inclusion of Cody in this storyline. I like it that they're doing it again. I liked that it teased a possible Cody versus Sammy or a triple threat, which Cody said he was open to at Mania. And we'll talk about that in a second. But I can't get over how good Cody has gotten on the mic just over the years. I'm not saying that he's like impeccable, he's perfect, he's top notch, but like he has gotten so good compared to where he was. And Sammy needs to seriously explore acting when he's done wrestling because the way that he emotes
It's
any sort of emotion that's appropriate for the situation is just incredible. I just like he straight up was emotional, like seemed emotional last night, like he was gonna cry because Cody believed in him, or just like he felt to me he was actually in distress because he couldn't say that he knew that he could beat Roman, and that was so relatable. Just in a different level, like people can understand overcoming something, but wow, like how many weeks in a row are we going to have these amazing segments? It's crazy.
it's it's a banger after banger after
It really
banger.
is.
No, it is. That's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. I mean, that's why I watch Raw now.
Yeah.
The friend that I go to Limitless Wrestling with in Maine, him and I talk about wrestling now and how it's changed and whatnot. And he said to me, this kind of shocked me from his standpoint. I thought he'd be on the other side, but he gets into wrestling for that type of promo and talking on the mic. Like that's his bread and butter. Like that's what he loves to see and wants to go see. And that is a lost element of wrestling right now because it's just kind of whatever. Point is that Cody's got so good at it, and then you add the bloodline into that. It's like it is going to be just gold come Mania. And the
Hmm.
way things have developed, it's just so it's incredible.
Yeah, I liked too the stance that they had Cody take talking to Sammy, because I feel like they could have taken it in a completely different direction, but the fact that he was so supportive and trying to hype him up and like ease his mind, I felt like that was kind of a cool element too, because I think the way that they're having Sammy be and how he's feeling about going into this match, I think it's just kind of how a lot of us are feeling, where as much as you might love to see Sammy beat Roman and get the titles, most of us know, or at least believe, that it is almost impossible to, like, it's not going to happen
It
probably.
just can't. And
So
I
no, it wouldn't make sense. It
it
wouldn't
would.
make sense for Cody to then face him, like, but then it's like, how do you just you can't do that to Roman after the champ, like, you just can't. It doesn't make sense. But um yeah, I just think that makes the whole thing, I think, a little bit more believable. It almost kind of is between being performative in like a wrestling show and then being real life, I feel
Mhm.
like, because in wrestling anything can happen. We know that. They write the scripts and they have to do it. So it's like we anything can happen. I mean, Rey Mysterio was world heavyweight champion, like at 170 pounds. So it's
Yeah,
like anything can
the
happen.
ultimate underdog.
Yeah, but like, this, I felt like it was just kind of cool because, and I don't know, that there's a lot of people that are believing that Sammy should do it, but that doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. So the fact that Sammy is like, okay, well, I'm confident, but this is a really big task and I don't know that I can do it, and he needed someone to like hype him up and be like, okay, I support you, I acknowledge you. It's kind of like that makes it more emotionally investing, I feel like, as if we needed any other emotional strings to this storyline, but that added more, I feel.
It absolutely did. I agree.
So I'm curious to see what happens on Saturday. I'm very excited.
Oh,
And
Saturday.
then what happens after that. I'm really excited about that too. Like the lead up to Mania, because then Mania is not until April. So,
Long time between there. I'm gonna be. It's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what they do. What they
because that's a
do.
lot of time to fill.
But what about if they don't do a premium live event? Are they going to do something in the middle to break it up, like a halfway point? I don't know. There's just a lot of time between the pay per views leading
Yeah.
up to Mania that I don't know. I feel like that you have to do something to get people re-energized because
Yeah.
you're gonna run out of gas. You drive down the highway, you're gonna run out of gas at some point. You gotta
Yeah.
fuel up.
Well, and there's so many big storylines happening right now that people are super interested in. So you don't want to lose that steam, especially heading into Mania. So I don't know, because obviously if they were going to do, because my main idea would be that they did a super show. So like everyone was on Raw or something. But when they have promoted that, they usually don't just sell tickets to Raw and SmackDown without it being promoted as a super show.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we would know by now, I think. But that's my only guess, because I feel like that would make it a little bit more interesting, especially, there's Rhea and Charlotte, so that's a way for them to be on screen at the same time. But I don't know, it's going to be really cool, I think, to see how Triple H does all of this, because this is his first Mania season.
This is his first Mania. This is a big, big test for Papa Paul.
I think he's going to deliver.
No, of course.
He's going to there's too much really good stuff happening right now for it not to go well, I feel
And
like.
that's the thing with him is that he is surrounding himself with the best people possible, not the best people to boost his own ideas. You bring in different types of writers, producers, and all this, so that you can do these types of complex storylines where the viewer is not just, the fan that's a one off. No, you're catering to the diehard,
Mhm.
and that's something that is not usually a thing anymore. But under this era and in this just wrestling climate, they're really catering to the viewer as much as possible and the weekly viewer.
Yeah, and what I like is that I feel like there's something for everyone, like we've said, but in a way that is not obviously being catered to children, because it's great that they have, the GPG era or whatever, but there was a lot of time where everything felt like it was being catered around a 10-year-old. And so then when you're like a 20 something, a 30 something, and you're watching and you're like, okay, like this, like most of your audience is like 18 to 35. So
Yeah,
why are we doing this? But yeah, I think he's going to do a great job. And I'm really excited. And I like that it's not predictable because, I mean, for all we know, that he has something huge planned that we've never seen
no
before.
idea.
So, um, speaking of WrestleMania, someone who is not on WrestleMania at this point, Seth Rollins was on Miz
Again,
TV.
you're just getting left off Mania.
He was
No
on Miz
Cody.
TV.
No
I
Cody to
know.
save him this time.
He was on Miz TV in his rubber red boots.
Yo, I want to pair those boots so bad. Okay,
They were the talk of the town last
they
night.
should be, Sarah. Have you
What
seen
are they
them?
though? Like, I think, are they like expensive though? I
They're a
think they might be.
thousand dollars.
Okay, I was gonna say they're designer.
I don't.
Imagine paying $1,000 for those.
I would.
No, you
This is.
wouldn't.
I really would,
You
and
pay
I
$10 for
don't.
them. Stop.
I no, but
You.
I would if I had that type of money. The
Mhm.
problem is I don't. That's why I have a plastic championship.
I wonder if
So
he
it's
just like
really
rents
tough,
them. You know what I
huh?
mean? I wonder if Seth just like rents them. You know how they do that with like the red carpet stuff? Like most of the time they're just renting the dress or whatever and then they return it. I feel like, he doesn't go outside. So they're like, it's going to be fine. Because I'm like, there's no way he spent $1,000 on those boots and then just like keeps them in his closet because he might wear them again. No, you're not. You're
I
not
would
going to
wear
wear
those
those.
way more often than I should.
Yeah, I can see that. So anyway, Miz is doing his thing like he normally does, whatever.
Game
And
play.
then he gets asked about Logan Paul. And Seth got really passionate when he was talking about Logan. And
Call the
I've seen
mic.
more. I've seen more things that he has said about Logan. Did I
Sag of the
bookmark it? I
match.
must not have. I thought I saved something because I saw him talk like it was like a really long quote of something that he was saying. Here it is. Oh no, that's not it. Never mind. That was him talking about how he feels slighted from not being on Mania or not being a part of the main event, and that just breaks my heart. But anyway, so no, he was going on about Logan and that Logan is all about making money and getting attention, that his name isn't even worthy of being said out loud in the ring, especially that he doesn't like why he's there or why he's trying to get into wrestling. And, it's his whole life. And every fan is so dedicated and passionate about wrestling and WWE that he doesn't get that vibe at all with Logan. So obviously it's the low hanging fruit for him to go for. It's the easiest thing for all of us to get behind. It's the easiest thing for them to get heat on Logan. But I do wonder because I'll have to try and find that quote. I wonder if this is like a universal feeling with any of these people backstage. Like, do they actually feel that way? Like, when it comes to, we've talked about it. We give him credit for how much he's trained and like how naturally good he is in the ring. But I do question his motives because he never watched wrestling like growing up. I mean,
They
if
did.
I well, if he did, he doesn't know jack shit about anything because I've watched him interview wrestlers on his podcast. He doesn't know anything. Like he didn't even know that Cody was Stardust. So that's what I'm saying. Like there's random things that he should know about, even things that he didn't know when Triple H was there. And it's like iconic stuff that he did not know about. So I'm like, you didn't watch wrestling. You really didn't. So it's not the same as like I don't know.
I'd have to do more, but I love this because it is Seth's life and
Mm-hmm.
it's what he want to do, whatever. And Logan Paul, yeah, it is the low hanging fruit, but Sarah, like, I'm not gonna lie, it took me a while to come full circle with Logan Paul and be like, all right, I respect you. You do your thing. I may not like everything you do, but like, you do you and you're successful in your own way. In the wrestling business, it's tough. It's they do not take kindly to these,
Outsiders.
outsiders. They really don't. And it's one thing if they came in like, oh, I loved it as a kid. I just want to have my moment in the sun. They're like, yeah, all right. But this Logan obviously is a money maker,
Yeah.
and not only for him, but the company knows this. So it's one of those two-edged swords
Yeah.
for the talent that it's like, yeah, you get to work with them. I mean, look at the shit he's been doing already. I mean, the frog splash through the table to Roman, the
They're using
Naruto.
each other for personal gain, both like
Exactly.
WWE and Logan. Yeah. Um yeah, so I think the problem is, I mean, even with me, and I'm sure for a lot of people, and that's why this whole angle is going to work, is because of all of the things that Logan has done over the years that has rubbed people the wrong way or has been controversial, and the things that he continues to do. Did the Celtics just lose?
Yeah,
Okay. Um it's whatever, right? Because like they were playing a healthy Bucks, so whatever.
they're down everybody.
Yeah,
Everybody is down.
I know. Anyway, so I think that it's, he continues to be controversial. He continues to say ridiculous things and do ridiculous things, and I think that that's why it's hard for people to look past that or forget it or try to just look at only focus on him when he's in WWE. Not to mention he's never on consistently, and it is, that is what it is, and it's if he is going to be Seth's opponent at Mania, that's great because then Rollins is on Mania. My problem is I feel like Rollins deserves a better match than having one with Logan Paul. Will it be a banger?
No, I,
Obviously. It's going to be really, really good. Like,
I'm for
Seth is amazing. Logan is creepishly good for somebody who's only had a few matches. So, and they're very similar in body type and style. So it's going to be a good match. But, like, for Seth to not have main evented a Mania, to have been left off of Mania last year until it was Cody. It's just like, I wish that he had something better, a bigger feeling match than just throwing him with Logan because Logan eliminated him in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, but where else are you gonna put him? Like, who else are you gonna put? AJ
I know.
Styles is out. There's a lot of other people out. Randy's out, so you couldn't do another one of those. There's injuries and people not there, and the people who are there are in important roles at the moment. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just tough. And when you are Seth, you're so good, and you're kind of in that echelon where you should be taking down Roman Reigns,
Yep.
but you're not intertwined with the story. It's a gray area, honestly.
Well, and what's good about it, though, the way that they could have gone about it with Rollins at some point is that he's Roman's never beaten Seth. So that would have been the hype around their match because then it, like, and it could have all been brought back to the Shield. Like, I loved when he trolled Roman when he came out to the Shield music and the Shield
I
gear,
laughed out
and
loud. So
like that stuff would have been so good. And that's the thing, is just because obviously I'm biased because Seth Rollins is like my favorite wrestler right now, one of them, but my main guy. But just watching interviews or reading interviews about him living in the shadow basically of Roman since they split up the Shield and having to be in wrestling at the same time as Roman and always being like the second guy, like the guy on the back burner basically, because they wanted to push Roman as the guy after Cena especially. That's why I just feel bad, because I feel like this is another situation where he's just like, all right, like let's give you Logan and that'll be your Mania match. And it's like, okay, like at least he'll be there and he'll actually have like a lead up to Mania. Whereas last year it was like, who's his partner going to be, and whatever. But I would like to think that if it is going to be Logan, which that's what it looks like, that they actually have Logan on multiple shows over the course of multiple weeks, because I don't want to see him show up for 2 Raws between now and Mania, and then that's what Seth has to deal with. Like, I feel like that's
That
not
is,
fair either. There needs to be more substance to that than just being like, oh, I'm just mad at you because you eliminated me from the Royal Rumble. Like,
yeah, they're building to it. They're building to the substance.
yeah, so I am excited to see where that goes, and I'm hopeful that I can be excited about their feud and their match, because I really want to be excited about it. But what was that?
Yeah.
What was that dance move? Yeah.
Oh, I'm feeling.
I guess Mania.
Yeah,
Okay. Mania is
is
just a big topic today, and I think it's because we're getting close, and we're already seeing, you know, the seeds being dropped for what's going to happen. So last night we saw Lesnar come out in the same outfit that he loves right now. I also thought it was kind of odd that he put the cowboy hat on that like toddler and then just like took it off him. And I was like, I'm so confused at this, because it was like, oh, look at Brock, like he's being so nice to a little baby, he's gonna give him the hat. And then it was like he thought he was supposed to be a bad guy, and he like snatches it off, and I was like, what is happening? Like, what? Like, the people were like, he's in his element, and I'm like, but isn't he supposed to be a good guy? So like, why would he snatch it off like that? That's a baby.
What if you had PTSD from Vince, like yelling his ear, like, you can't be doing that. You're a bad guy. You're a monster.
I was just like, I'm so confused about this.
Triple H like, dude, just leave the hat on him. We'll get you another one.
Yeah, like, but maybe it's one or something. I don't know. So it was for their contract signing, which for the most part, contract signings or whatever. But
no, I love them.
I think it just depends. I was at a contract signing once.
Were you really? Actually,
yes, I was at the Punk versus Cena at SummerSlam one at the Raw before. Yes, because the shirt the shirt that Cena is wearing is the shirt he gives me. So yeah, I was at that one. I'm in a picture that was on WWE.com. I just remember.
Oh,
yeah,
famous.
Anyway, so so they set up the contract signing, and Lesnar's just like, I've already signed it. I am just waiting for Bobby. And Bobby comes out, and I loved this. So his music starts, and tons of fake security come out and just line the entrance ramp. And then some guy comes out with a table and chairs, a table with the tablecloth. So good. And then Bobby just comes out and sits down, like kicked back in a nice suit. And he said that he's in control now because he has one up on Lesnar. Everyone's looked at the contract, blah, blah, blah. He's just basically drawing it out. Lesnar said, well, you're scared, and that's why you're not going to come to the ring. Then Lesnar tries to attack him by getting through security, because of course he does. And then Bobby just drops him and hits him with a spear, and then signs the contract on top of him. And then Brock is like in that situation again too. Like, I don't know if you saw as it was going to commercial, they like zoom in on his face, and he's just like laughing. It reminded me very much of the funny moments in the match against The Undertaker.
Oh yeah,
just like laughing. Yeah.
That was awesome.
That's what it reminded me of. So we are going to see them in an Elimination Chamber, but it's not an Elimination Chamber match. Are all the matches in the cage?
No. It's okay, not like it should be.
I know, that would be. Yeah, they don't have to be in the pod, but they can still use the cage. So I feel like this is something that's not going to be done at Elimination Chamber. And if we go off of history, Brock is winning because Bobby got the last laugh on Raw. So usually that's how it goes. Like, Judgment Day got the win on Raw because they're going to lose at Elimination Chamber. That's usually like how it goes. I mean, maybe not under Triple H, but how on Vince, that's usually like on the go home shows, whoever wins is the one that's not going to win on the pay-per-view. So, but I have a feeling that this is not going to be done at Elimination Chamber. I think this is going to trickle over to Mania.
Yeah, I know it has to. And for the star power in that match, you have to bring it to Mania. And in this era, why not just let them loose and make it like a falls count anywhere? But it's one of those falls count anywhere matches where there's no overuse of weapons. It's just about oh, they can't cage these beasts, and you really build up that type of nonsense. Um, that's what you need to be doing in this, climate and culture, whatever. That you need to have these two guys, like if they're gonna collide at WrestleMania, they should be ending up in the crowd, or they should be ending up on the stage. Something like that, where you really need to build it up. And I'm not saying, with the blood and gore and weapons, all you need is
Mm-hmm.
just them to go crazy and just hit each other. I
Yeah.
don't know who's who. I don't even know if
I was
that's
gonna say I wanted to pull this up. So Jared says, "Have you guys noticed that Bobby's the heel and Brock is the face?" I feel like that's kind of what they are aiming for, but the crowd is not responding in that way. And we talked about this last week too, where that is like an interesting dynamic. Like I think the video that we put up from the stream last week was like, who do we root for, Bobby Lashley or Brock Lesnar? Because the crowd is like confused because up until this point they were very like pro Bobby, but they were also pro Brock because his last feud was with Roman. So everyone was like all on the Lesnar train. And now I don't know that Bobby has done enough to be like the solidified bad guy in this situation. Like they're trying, but it's still Lesnar. And I think that those like it's the lingering feeling of like I'm not supposed to be cheering for Lesnar because it's been so many years that he has not been the guy you cheer for. So it's almost like it's really interesting right now.
Lashley is current, like what him bringing out his own table, chair, and security crew reminded me a lot of his when he won every title in Impact. That type of character where he was the company heel, similar to how MJF is now, where it's just like F this company, I don't need them, they need me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he needs to bring back so that we can get a little bit of the Hurt Business. Again, we've already
Yeah.
seen the PTs, we've already seen, the little Easter eggs behind the interviews. Why not just do it? And if you're saving it for Mania, fine. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Give me that
Yeah.
moment.
And we know that would work. That would make
Oh, it
Bobby
absolutely would.
the bad guy. So
Absolutely.
I think that would be cool. But I kind of enjoy the fact that they're both straddling the line of babyface and heel because there aren't many people who are capable of doing that. And it was it always reminds me of like, and I'm not comparing them, but I'm saying like Stone Cold Steve Austin always straddled the line. Like even if he was doing like the absolute worst stuff, you still cheered for him. Eddie Guerrero, like two guys that were like the prime example of their eras, that were able to do that. So, yeah, I'm interested to see where this goes. And I think it would be really a good idea, like you said, for it to just be like a complete knock down, drag out fight at Mania. I think that's what a lot of people want to see. Even though we've already seen these two at a Mania, it was the Thunderdome era. I feel like that was a year that none of us remember and kind of like exclude from our life.
I really try to forget it, even though
Yeah,
it did start the bloodline feud, so I might have
I
to.
know. So there's certain aspects, but I think most of us would be like 2020 did not exist. Like take that year away and just pretend
No,
like
I was
just
blipped. We were just blipped for 5
yeah.
years for all my Marvel peeps out there.
So I briefly mentioned the Judgment Day, but I think that we know they're going to lose on Saturday to the Grit couple, which I hate that name. I think it's so lame. Especially because it reminds me of the Miz and Maurice, the It couple. So it's like they didn't. I don't know. I just
Yeah,
don't
they
like it. I
added
don't
two
like it.
letters. They're
I know.
grit.
Wow, it's so
Stronger.
different.
They're so strong.
So we did see the Judgment Day versus the Street Profits, but we knew that because it is the go home show that Judgment Day was going to win. I was really upset at first when they said that Rhea wasn't there because I was like, gosh, like I know that I think she was in Australia for like last week. I think she went home for, family time or whatever. But I was like, come on, we cannot have her not on Raw, especially the episode that she's supposed to be in a match on Saturday. So I was glad that she showed up. I liked what she did with Beth. I was like, yes, queen, because that's, all my favorite girls are queens.
Of course.
And yeah, I mean, basically it's the same situation, but I thought it was interesting that even Edge said in the backstage interview that he was tired of fighting with the Judgment Day because it's been going on for a year. And I was like, he's saying what we've been saying, that like we're tired of this storyline already. Like I feel like I wonder if they are too, if that's actually like accurate.
Yeah, let me just respond to that. I fucking love the Judgment Day, like, so much. They
Mm-hmm.
are the much needed heel faction right now. They need another faction that rivals the bloodline, but is still different in their own way. And the Judgment Day is perfect because they're just this ominous figure, similar to the Ministry of Darkness, I will say,
Mm-hmm.
and they just run Raw. Yeah, they might lose at Elimination Chamber. Priest might win though. I think Priest
I
might
don't
win.
see that. I don't know. I
No,
think it's
I
gonna.
think
You think he's gonna win the United States Championship?
yes.
I'm not on there yet. I think it's either Theory or I wouldn't be surprised if it's like Montez.
No, well, I have a prediction that Judgment Day by the second pay per view after Mania will have like all the gold.
Okay.
Like they'll have tag titles, they'll have the US, they'll have women's title, and they'll have all the gold, but they won't have the WWE.
Okay.
That would
Is
be
that? Yeah. Well, I that's what I want Imperium though. That's what I want for
different
Imperium.
show.
Yeah, but we have to see them split the tag titles. That's the thing.
And this is annoying.
Yeah, well, and we don't have there's no indication that that's what's going to happen before Mania or after, like, or during Mania. Like there's no indication of them doing that. But I do think they need to because there's too many guys that are being left out because they're withholding the tag titles to one tag team. And of course the Usos are amazing, so I'm not saying anything about them, but it's just
Sure.
like with the WWE championships, I still think they need to split them, but it doesn't look like they're going to be doing that either.
No.
Imagine if they did it like if like there is like a triple threat or something, or even like just Cody versus Roman and Cody wins and they have like that Mean Girls moment where Katie wins like prom queen and she just like tears up the tiara and just like hands it off. So he's like, "Oh, I don't want this universal one," and just like gives it to Sammy. Like, "Here you go. Whatever. This is like whatever." But anyway, yeah, so
yeah.
Yeah, I think that we're going to see big things from Judgment Day, obviously. But yeah, that was Raw.
That was Raw.
Not the best episode, I would say, but it
Oh,
was a go home show. So,
I know what I was going to end the show with because Sarah,
bro,
that would be.
we need this, David. Do you know if this is happening or is this just your idea? Because if that happened, dude, I would start like crying. Only because like what a circle, like, you know, to do that. And well, for those that are listening, I should probably say David said Theory wins at Elimination Chamber and then does an open US challenge for Mania, which Cena then answers. I think that would be sick.
I saw something before we recorded,
Okay.
and it's actually tied in with the Judgment Day and today's holiday, Sarah. So it is
Yep.
Valentine's Day,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if you saw WWE's video that they posted, but Dom and Mommy
Oh, yes.
took a trip to the in-laws, and I
Well,
didn't
to a
get to watch the
restaurant.
whole video. I can't believe they're doing this. I love these videos so much. Like they're
Yeah.
just so unbelievably cringe because he really is playing into this like I did hard time. I'm a real thug. And it's like, bro, you were thrown in the dunk tank. Like
He
chill.
said that on Raw too, that like, you know,
It's
he was giving tips to Damien on how to deal with being in a confined space because he's done hard time and Damien's gonna have to be in a pod. So it's like it's just like so dumb, but I love that they're still going with it because it very
Yeah.
easily could have been just like, "Okay, guys, like, we know you went to county jail for 3 hours, you know? Like, stop it. You didn't do anything. Like, you ran your block? Bro, in 3 hours? You
I
ran your block?"
ran my
Like, whatever. But, yeah, no, I
Look,
think they're gonna continue doing that up until Mania, probably. I mean, I'm assuming that we're gonna get Dominic and Ray versus at Mania.
oh, we're getting them, and they're gonna open the show to.
This Mania, even with just the rumored matches and what we think is gonna happen, is stacked already. And it
Yeah,
hasn't even been announced yet. It's stacked. I'm so excited.
if anyone thinks I'm leaving my house except to go to my job on Mania weekend, you are a
You
lunatic.
need to take off Saturday.
Well, I get out at like 3. I mean, it's not a big deal.
Well, I guess, but I just mean like, yeah. But
Well, I'll make sure of that, obviously. But I'm saying that like there's no like I'm not at that stage in life anymore. We're in that lull period where
mhm.
you go all day with the event. I
Well, it's
remember.
because you're like nearing your 30s, and
Shut
so it's
up! That's not real. That is
no, I'm just
not
saying. No, it's real.
real.
Once you hit your 30s, you're just kind of like, oh yeah, bed
I
at
don't want
9:30 sounds
any of
great.
that. I don't
Yep.
want any of that.
It's just, I feel like it's just a natural occurrence. Like,
It
unfortunately,
is.
all are
No,
cursed.
it is. That's Darwinism at its finest. I miss the days of in college. I think I will end the show with this little note because this was classic treehouse banter. We had a whole day for Mania where we started at like 11 or 10:30 and we started breakfast and whatever. And then I had little brackets and questionnaires for everyone to fill out for predictions. And we
Hmm.
all all took turns filling out our bracket style. And we were like, what are we gonna do today? So we're like shooting the shit on the couch. And we forgot that NXT Takeover. We watched NXT Takeover, took a 2-hour break into Mania. It was without a doubt my favorite WrestleMania I've watched, maybe minus 28 and 29.
I think this one is going to be, it's going to rival a lot of them.
We should do now that it's Mania season, and I don't want to start my rewatching yet of Mania because it's the Elimination Chambers. So honestly, we should be watching the Elimination Chamber stuff. But during Mania season, like at least with the transition to the show, because that's what's next on our docket, is that like the Eliminate? We should do some like Mania stuff, like topics. Let's hear from you guys. That's what we want to hear from. Let us know what you guys want to
What if
hear
we
from.
all just rewatched every Mania up until Mania?
I could do
And then
that.
like we can talk about a couple, depending, we'll have to calculate how many shows we have up until Mania, and then we can be like, okay, let's watch like 1, 2, and 3. Like, and
Yeah,
then we'll talk about those or
yeah.
something like that. Because I haven't seen them all, if I'm being honest. I have not.
I've seen almost everyone. I don't think I've
Well,
seen
and
a couple.
the problem for me was just that when I was growing up, for all of those people who don't know before, why they're called pay-per-views was because you did have to pay for them every single month, and they ranged from like $54.99 to like $74.99 depending on the year and whatever the pay-per-view was, because like Mania was way more expensive, obviously, because it was longer than the typical pay-per-views, and then of course it was like the Super Bowl. So when I'm growing up, my mom didn't have $75 to be dropping every month for us to watch, and nor did I spend any of my money on it even when I got a job, because I was paying for gas and stuff. Hello, it was like the recession of 2008. So yeah, that was always fun. But yeah, so I haven't seen a lot of like full Manias. I mean, I've seen matches and stuff like that, but that would be a lot of new stuff for me to see, to rewatch like every single one.
That's gonna open your eyes to so much. I think
Yeah, yeah.
we gotta. That's the goal for 2023 for you. Is we
Well,
gotta.
for like the next month and a half.
No, what do you mean? No, for the year 2023.
No, I know, I'm saying, but if we want to watch them all before Mania, then it's for the next month and a half.
Oh
That's my
yeah, you're
goal.
gonna and look at that. What you're gonna learn. I mean, the '80s stuff is awesome.
Yeah.
You're not
So
gonna. You don't see any of that shit anymore. Ugh.
yeah.
But thank you guys for tuning into this edition of the Raw Rewind, a presentation of the Pitts and Sarah Wrestling Show, which is a podcast. That's right. It is a podcast that streams on Sarah's YouTube channel. Go subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Leave us a rating. Leave us a comment of what you want to see, what you would like us to talk about. I know Jared, I'm pretty sure, has already given us a topic that we are going to, actually have time to talk about on the Pitts and Sarah Wrestling Show this week when we record. And it's gonna be all Elimination Chamber, from fun facts to our predictions on it to whatever. It's gonna be all Elimination Chamber, obviously combined with the 3 count and Lemon and Rose. So that will be up next on the docket. And in the meantime, if you still want to hear our thoughts, ask us anything through social media, follow me and Sarah at Pat_Pitts and at SMarshXO on Twitter, on Instagram at Pitsy35 and at SMarsh_. So go follow us there. Sarah, anything else you would like to add on this Valentine's Day? Will you be my Valentine, Sarah?
I love how you're just trying to be polite, but yes, I will.
What do you mean? What do you mean polite? I
Because
feel like
you're asking me at the end of the night. Like, I already did everything all day, but like,
I built up to it.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks. Thank you. Thank you for all of the Valentine's Day love that you gave me today.
I was driving around in a car delivering fish for 12 hours. That's how my Valentine's Day went.
Yeah. Mine was a little bit better, but not a whole lot. I napped a lot, so.
Oh, so you were dreaming.
I was dreaming of you.
Oh.
All day.
Driving through your mind all day.
Yeah, you smelled like fish.
Yeah.
Just kidding, I can't smell. Did you know that?
You can't smell either?
No.
I have like 3 friends. No. I have like 3 friends that can't smell.
But had they not been able to smell their whole life?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, one of them literally was born that he cannot smell.
Me too.
That's so weird.
Yeah, it's called anosmia, or I forget, like congenital anosmia or something like that. My mom has a friend who can't smell either, and I was just like, it's crazy.
A lot more common than I thought.
I know, but I still haven't personally met somebody like face to face that couldn't smell. My this is so off topic and doesn't need to be discussed here, but my friend's little brother fell off his skateboard and hit his head, got a concussion and whatever, and as a result from that, he couldn't smell for a couple months. But yeah, I've never met anybody who legitimately could not smell. So wild. Yeah. Shout out to the anosmiacs.
The anosmiacs.
I don't know if that's the right word, but it just sounded funny. That's our band, bro. No,
that would be such.
We start a candle company.
The anosmiacs. We can't smell the competition because we don't fear it. You can't smell what you don't fear.
We can't. Promo. You just don't even explain all of it. Just we don't smell the competition. That's it. That's what I mean. Like, make candles and perfume. Ugh, that would be sick. It all smells like kitty litter and like bleach.
Like shitty.
Yeah, it'd have to be like really strong smells. But even then, it's like you don't know what it smells like. It just, like roasts your nose hairs. That's it. But anyway, good evening, Orlando.
Good evening, Orlando. Thank you for tuning into this, guys. God bless. Remember that you can do it. All you got to do is try. We'll see you next time.